Hello, everybody. A lot of things to talk about today, mainly to do with a lot of indie animation and glitch. So, first things first, there was a study done recently where it showed that Gen Z preferred watching indie animation on YouTube, or at least a large majority of it, which in and of itself, great thing. Yes, the industry just in general has a lot of, I'd say stagnant. Disney is just fucking scrambling. It's all just live action remakes at this point. Shows people crave the stuff, and the only way they can get it is from YouTube. So I think there's a lot of independents out there that can take advantage of this. And I'm very happy to hear that, because I do want to make some of my own things in the future. That isn't just like straight parodies that are more, I guess, unique in a way. There's a lot of reasons I don't do that right now. The time that I'm in right now is probably not the best, but I think there's a few things that I'm a little bit nervous to share. But the main thing to me has to be the fans, I would say, and not even like my fans. I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for you guys watching. And I think a majority of fans just want to see their creators make things that they're happy with, which is great. And I thank all of you for that, for being here or just watching all the stuff on the main channel, it's fine. But I think recently, maybe 7, 8, 9 years ago, this wouldn't have been as much of an issue or a deterrent. But nowadays, I guess everything past COVID, it really feels like when people become fans, they become these... The best word that I can think of, and that's probably most accurate, has to be entitled. I think entitled is probably the best way to describe some of the fans that are out there nowadays, where I think everybody is entitled to their opinion, whether it's right or wrong. You are allowed to have it. Nothing stopping anyone from doing that. But I think we've gotten to a point where you're not just entitled to an opinion. Your opinion also has to be the only one, or it has to be the correct one. If you take any extra information outside of it that like maybe slightly deters from it or challenges it, that person that tries challenging you is an enemy and they're terrible, and how dare you speak that way to me. And I see this a lot in like the way people project themselves into these shows with like character shipping. Like, character shipping in itself is like really weird in general. I could see the appeal with like, oh, it'd be fun to see like this character and this character interact in certain ways, or they'd have a fun dynamic together. And it might be disappointing that, oh, this character didn't get with this character in the end. And that's fine. But the way people act nowadays, they don't know how to separate the main thing that they're watching with these projections that they have of characters or the story or anything like that. They can't separate the two. And I think that's where the issue lies, where they have this really weird, intense passion to make that stuff, I guess in a way, kind of like a part of their identity. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like it's so ingrained into their identity. If you challenge it, you're challenging that person. And they hate that. And that's just, it's weird. It's weird. It is weird to make something you like is so ingrained into yourself. I think it's similar to like how like some kids that I've seen, I had personal experience to talking to, where they will identify as like 5 different things, but they've never actually went to a doctor to get diagnosed. And if you try challenging them or saying like, did you go to a doctor? I don't think that's right. They get like vitriolic. They get mad, and they are very vocal. If they're teenagers, I hope they grow out of it, but it's worse when they're adults. It is so much worse when they're adults, where they make it their whole persona. It is sad. Sometimes they make it such a point where they just attack creators on even the simplest things, like the creative decision for some of these projects. A recent example would be Toby Fox and him not making translations beyond English and Japanese. His reasoning is that he wants to have control over the translation. People interpret that as he hates Spanish speakers. That was the main people that got mad. Spanish speakers and people that were like, why is there not Spanish? Regardless if they were even Spanish speakers. Came up with a bunch of things where it's like, oh, he could just hire people to do that. Oh, he could just have all this control in it. But here's one argument that I have for him recently on Netflix, there was a redub of Evangelion, like the English dub of Evangelion, and a lot of stuff got mistranslated, or at least a lot of the nuance in the context from the Japanese dub got completely switched over in the English dub. Things like pronunciation of certain things. I think the main critique I would say would probably be like the whole relationship between Kaoru and Shinji. Now it's not Kaoru is like someone that might be, I guess the way they use love in that show can be interpreted in many different ways, but they cut that nuance to just be like, oh, I like you, Shinji. It's like there's no, it's not an actual kind of like nuanced way of seeing it. It is now kind of cold and direct in the way it said it, that doesn't leave room for any interpretation. And I think that's what Toby Fox is trying to avoid that kind of mistranslation, because you can't oversight everything, and sometimes they just change things to change things. I think Crunchyroll has a lot of issues, and one of the issues is how they dub shows to English, or sometimes they just ruin the context and the nuance of certain characters to make them appealing to the region that they're trying to translate to. I remember a scene in this stupid ass Dragon Maid show where someone was showing the difference between the Japanese version, where it showed big booby dragon, or they made her seem more like innocent and doesn't really know what she's doing. She doesn't really understand how humans talk to each other, while in the English version she just looks like kind of like a dumb dolt. So there is an issue with that kind of translation. But the thing is, I think people take what Toby Fox is saying and make it into like this personal attack on themselves. And that is, it's dumb. It's annoying. Or they make it personal, where they make it and then they take it out on them for reasons that they made up. Which brings me to my main topic, which is Glitch Production and their final episode going to theater. So it's amazing to see these kind of self-made independent creations actually getting theatrical releases. The last episode of Digital Circus is going to be in theaters at least for 2 weeks, is great. But the problem people see is that it is not a simultaneous release on YouTube. And they're like upset, like, oh no, I'm going to get spoiled. They get upset that they're going to get spoiled before it comes out on YouTube. They get upset that, oh, the theater is not by me. And they're upset that Glitch is asking people to call theaters to play the show in there. So first, I'm going to take the group that are going to get upset at it being released 2 weeks before the YouTube release. I'm going to assume a majority of those people are on the younger side, because obviously there's going to be a very young fan base for this show. And that's not to discount anybody that can't really afford going to the theater. I understand that. But if the problem really is just that, oh, I'm going to get spoiled before it comes out, I need to tell you this right now. Just stay offline, okay? You don't need to be online during those 2 weeks, okay? Take this opportunity to have like 2 weeks off your phone or whatever device it is. You don't even have to like get rid of your phone. Just don't use social media at all. There's going to be a point. Somebody's going to like spoil it in some way, shape, or form because they take a picture or they say something, blah, blah, blah. Just don't use those websites. They have a lot of tools in them to block certain like phrases, keywords, yada, yada. If you can't go without them, then use that to your advantage. If you can't do that, don't use social media, okay? Take that as a phone cleanse 2 weeks. If you get spoiled by somebody like IRL though, I'm sorry, it happens. It's happened to me. The best you can do is tell them go fuck themselves. Now, theaters and being asked to call your local theater to have it play there. I need to tell you this right now. Glitch is an indie studio. They don't have the backings of all these big conglomerates. A lot of you, myself included, a lot of you don't understand like the deeper workings of like theaters and cinema and all this stuff. There is so much bureaucracy when it comes to just having a movie on different platforms. A lot of stuff that works nowadays is still, I would say, working on the basis of the past. And what I mean by that is theaters still are supposed to be in the minds of like these corporate conglomerate people, executive, blah, 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 blah. They have the mind where it's like they will only see movies when there's a big name actor in it, or if it's like a blockbuster, or if it's like it's backed by a multi-billion-dollar company like Amazon, like Netflix, like Sony, like Disney. And that's not even to mention whatever other kind of deals that certain theaters have with these companies as well. Some of them might have exclusive deals to just play certain movies for other people. We don't know the inner workings of the theaters for the most part. Every single one of them works different in their own way. They have their own rules, they have their own regulations, and that's just kind of like the whole basis of just like why you won't see like little fucking Timmy's stupid drawings on theater, because there's just a lot of stuff that goes into it on kind of a corporate scale. But then you have the next part, which is if you manage to have kind of like a product that is worth viewing. Some of them, if you don't have like that industry name that people know by heart, they kind of just scratch their chin and they're like, what the fuck is this? They don't take it seriously. So you need to have that backing, which is why stuff like calling into theaters and saying, hey, I'm interested in watching this on your screen, which is what Markiplier did with his call out for people to call their theaters to have his movie play in them, because there was such a big call out from people that they saw like, hey, you know what, this might actually be worth it. And you also have to think about it on like in terms of just like how much money they can get, because if you're going to put out a movie, you have to relegate a screen to it. And that screen has a number of seats. So there is an expectation of a number of seats being sold for that screen. It is a possible big loss to them if nobody comes up to watch that screen. And that screen could have been playing a completely different movie that would have potentially had actual people sit there and watch it. And they miss out on that because they put out something that they didn't know was going to make any money or not. Theaters have to make money. They have to. And if they feel like they can't make money, they won't put stuff out on their screens. That's why these calls are very important. So they have something that actually tells them, oh, this can make money because people are asking for it. But there's these subgroups of people that feel like they're, I hate saying entitled because it feels like I'm like being really mean to them, but it really is the best word. They feel like, why do I have to watch it in theater? Why do I have to call it in? Why can't I just watch it at the same time as them, as like the theater people? What the heck? I've been watching it for free this entire time. And yeah, you've been watching it for free, but I mean, Glitch is not Amazon. It's not Disney. It is an independent studios. They have to make their money somehow. They make their money through merchandise and all this stuff. If they weren't selling all this merchandise, they probably would not have the funds to even consider having a theatrical release. The fact that there's a theatrical release for like a 2-week period is honestly really impressive. And this is them without like having the backing of shit like Netflix, like Disney. They don't have any of that backing. Yes, they have videos that play on Netflix. That's just them getting a deal with Netflix to just play their stuff on there. And it might not even last that long. And maybe with how I've been seeing, like even Netflix getting rid of some of their shows to play on other platforms, they might have a few years at tops. We don't know. It's just these different licensing deals where it'll be set for an amount of time. It doesn't actually mean they have that backing from Netflix. So this independent studio being able to play this on so many theaters and having that market of theaters grow over time with how many people are calling in to ask for them to show that, it's impressive. It's really good. And hopefully in the future, if they ever do something like this again, or if any independent studio is able to get to this point, there could be so many like better opportunities that isn't just like, oh, a 2-week release. Maybe it could be a simultaneous release where it's both digital and theater. All I know is that this is probably the first time that something like this has happened currently. And it's sad because a lot of people, I don't think, understand the implications of this at all. They just see it like now, like, oh, why am I not watching it now? Why do I have to watch later? This is bullshit. But I think they really do need to understand that this is just only gonna get better from here on out, regardless, because having an independent animation film come out like this is impressive. It's great. I can only hope that we see more stuff like this in the future. People will get upset, as usual. It is frustrating. I can understand that, where it's just like, man, I would love to see it in theater, but I can't, because of either I can't afford it or there's no theater here for me to go to. That's completely understandable. Glitch also understands that, and it sucks. But this is breaking new grounds, and I wish them the best. I just hope that when the time comes, these very, I guess, entitled fans come around and understand, okay, maybe I was being a little too harsh. Maybe I shouldn't have been as mean or as annoying as I was. I was just very frustrated at the time. I hope that happens. I hope they can come to terms with it, and I hope if they still like the project, if they still like all these animations, they support it in the way they can. If they want to watch it in theater, great. They want to buy the merchandise, great. But if you just want to watch it the way you've always been watching it, no one's stopping you. That's what they've been doing, and it helps. It helps watching it. I hope people don't spoil it. I think that's the main thing. I hope people don't like intentionally go out of their way to spoil it. I know there's going to be one or two bad actors out there that go be like, I'm going to post this and tell everybody who freaking dies at the end. It's like, what's your problem, man? Like, I think those people are like the actual problem people that you always get no matter where you go. And hopefully we can just avoid them, because that's probably all they want. They just want that attention of being like the bad guy. And yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm going to try to take my brother to watch it if it's over here by me. And I hope you guys do too. And if you agree, I mean, yeah, you agree. If you don't agree, I mean, let me know. I think there's definitely some things that I tried looking around to see if there were some things where it's like, okay, I understand it's upsetting that it's not here, or why there isn't a bigger push for it over in certain regions. But I think they are still doing the best they can with what they have. And what they have is functional. I don't know anything about having a studio. I'm literally just, it's just me. It's just one fucking guy. But from what I know, studios, they can literally put all their eggs into one basket, and then they lose the fucking studio the next day because oops, that was a lot of money that we just wasted for no reason. Like whatchamacallit, that other Aladdin film that came out at the same time as the Disney Aladdin, and nobody wanted to watch that one, so like that whole thing just kind of crumbled and shit itself. Glitch being able to avoid a situation like that while still making a really nice looking animation is impressive, and I think we need to commend them on that at the very least. So yeah, just yeah, let me know your thoughts, or don't. Just tell me you hate me, I guess, if you got up to here, and I'll see you guys later. Bye. I'm gonna bite your fucking neck off, you little rat, you little fucking rat.